All right, we will call the council meeting to order. Please rise for the prayer and pledge of allegiance.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
The pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, everybody. We are going to start tonight with item D, and Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so today we have our state representative from the Toledo area. His name is Josh Williams. I met Josh, I think it was back in September, and he's got an amazing story. Him and I have met a couple more times since then. He's also running for Congress. He's going to be in the primary. If he wins the primary, or when he wins the primary, he'll go against Marcy Kaptur later on this year. So, welcome, Josh.
Josh, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me.
I'm going to just turn the floor over to you.
All right.
5-10 minutes.
All
It's
right.
all yours.
I'll try to stay under that. Well, thank you guys for having me today. I really appreciate it. We had a great event this weekend out here door knocking, so we've been out here a little bit. But I wanted to make sure I came and introduce myself to everyone. So I'm State Representative Josh Williams. I'm serving in my second term in the Ohio House. My first term in leadership, I serve as Majority Whip. On top of my duties as Majority Whip, I serve as what Matt Huffman calls Majority Whip Plus. So I serve as the voice of our caucus on the floor. So you'll see me on the Ohio channel debating our bills and our legislation and our priorities, and also debating against the other side of the aisle when they want to introduce amendments to our legislation at the last minute. So it's one of my greatest honors to be able to serve in the Ohio legislature. But I'm not a career politician. I'll tell you guys a little bit about who I am. So I was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. My father passed away when I was 5 from cancer, so I was left to be raised by a single mother in poverty in the inner city. And we struggled. I dropped out of high school when I was 18, when I became homeless. I slept on park benches for about 6 months, not knowing where my next meal would come from or even if I could take the next shower. And I was ready to give up as a young 18-year-old in Toledo, but my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ has mysterious ways of working in my life. And I got introduced to the mother of my son, Matthew, and she became pregnant. And that kind of gave me a different motivation. And I went out and I looked for a better job to be able to provide for a young family. So I started working at the railroad as a subcontractor next to the Jeep plant. My life got brighter. We got our first place, and I'm watching my 2 step-kids grow up, and I'm watching her belly grow. But at the age of 21, I fell 30 feet and destroyed my spine. So I fought through that injury for the next year or so, going to all the doctors, the chiropractors, the pain management doctors they tell you to go to. But at 23 years old, 2 weeks before Christmas, I did a 12-hour shift, and when I came home, I took a nap on the couch waiting for my kids to get home from school. And when I woke up, I couldn't feel my legs. And I had my wife take my family away, and we called the paramedics, and I got rushed to Toledo Hospital where doctors did tests, and they came in and told me something you never want to hear, which is, if you don't have emergency back surgery, you'll never walk again. So at 23, 2 weeks before Christmas, I was fully disabled. It was humbling that year. I mean, I remember going to the Salvation Army just to get gifts to put under the tree because I didn't know if I could pay my rent next month. I didn't have a job. I was off, getting ready to have major back surgery. So over the next 6 months, I had 2 major back surgeries, and they didn't work. I laid in bed for the next 6 years. I grew to 458 pounds at my heaviest. I had over 40 procedures done on my body, 5 major back surgeries, including metal rods and screws being put inside of my spine to stabilize it. So I kept my jacket on for a while because when it's cold out, I can really feel it in my back. And I was ready to give up. But, you know, God sent in the right doctors and lawyers to help me and give me motivation. And I fought through those surgeries, and I had weight loss surgery. I lost the weight. I did 2 years of physical therapy to learn how to walk again without the assistance of a cane or a walker. And I felt healthy enough to get out of that bed after losing the weight and stabilizing my spine. So I fought to go to college for over a year, and I could tell you guys about that fight that I had with the state of Ohio who wouldn't allow me to go to college. And eventually, at the age of 30, I enrolled at the University of Toledo as a freshman. And in 5 years, at the age of 35, I graduated from law school. So in 5 years, I got 3 college degrees, including my Juris Doctorate. I went on to practice law, and I still practice law in about 17 different counties. I went on to be a constitutional law professor at Adrian College in the state up north for 5 years. And after the results of the 2020 election, I saw how close we were to losing our country. And I felt I had the ability to give back and do more. So I ran in a Democrat-controlled district in the city of Toledo that hadn't been Republican in over 3 decades. No Republican was even pulling a petition that giving up on that district. And I flipped that district red in the 2022 election, giving us the largest supermajority we've ever had. I got to Columbus and I put my head down. I didn't go to dinner with lobbyists and go drinking with friends at the bars. I introduced a tremendous amount of legislation and helped my colleagues on legislation, and I earned their trust. So when I was reelected my second term, I was asked to be in leadership. So I was nominated and elected as majority whip because of the hard work I did on legislation. I mean, currently in the House right now, I have over 92 pieces of legislation that I've introduced in the last 14 months, the most out of any legislator in Ohio's history, while I'm running for Congress. While I'm being a husband and a father and a practicing attorney, I work pretty hard for our state. And, you know, we had 2 election cycles where we knew we could have beat Marcy Kaptur and the candidates didn't get it done. We look back on our election cycle and we beat Marcy Kaptur in my House district of 120,000 voters. I beat Marcy Kaptur by 6,600 votes. That's only in 120 of the 700,000 residents that vote in this district. So we decided to declare our candidacy for Congress. We're seen as the front runner. We have over 93 endorsements in this race by elected officials across the district, including right here in Henry County and in Napoleon. And we continue down this path towards victory. So I appreciate you guys, the opportunity to come and talk to you about my background. And I'll talk about legislation for a little bit. Look, I'm a public servant. I don't like being called a politician. Politics is rough, trust me. I'm the black conservative that gets called a Nazi every day. It's rough being a politician, but as a public servant, it doesn't feel like work. Many of you guys know that being in the position you are. When you love your community, you love your state, you love your country. I wake up every day with the energy to know that with one piece of legislation I draft, I can affect 11 million lives in Ohio. And I pray that I get the opportunity to go to Congress and affect 350 million Americans with legislation, and that's why I drafted. So, you know, over the last weekend, we had an incident that happened in Fremont where, you know, a man solicited an underage kid for sex, and the statutes aren't clear enough to be able to prosecute him. Fremont's not in my House district. Fremont's not in my congressional district, but I picked up the phone and I called a friend that's the mayor and said, how can I help? And we spent a half hour talking about legislation, and within 20 minutes, I already had a bill drafted to change that statute. I forwarded that to him now to make it easier for us to prosecute those sex offenders in our community. And I didn't have to do it because I didn't represent that area, but I could bring change to that community through my ability in the criminal justice system to draft legislation. So it took just a little bit of time out of my day to be able to bring change to that community and bring justice to that family. And that's what I'm in it for. So I got some wide-ranging dreams when I get to Congress, and I know what reforms I want to do to make our country better. And I also want to be a hope to a young generation where we see our kids being raised as victims, believing that every little obstacle they have somehow makes them a victim. And I want to teach them they can overcome those obstacles, and those difficult times build character. And I honestly believe that all the difficulties I went through was building strength in me for an assignment that God had for me. And right now, as being a legislator, I believe that the assignment goes on in Congress, but we'll find out May 5th. And if I don't make it there, I'll figure out what assignment he has for me. And if I do make it there, I already know what assignment he has for me, and I'm going to get to work. So I appreciate your guys' time, and if you want to ask me any questions, I'm more than willing to answer.
I have a question for you. Thank you for sharing all of that. Really appreciate it. So we've had Congressman Latta. We've been in his district for quite a while now. So my understanding that in January of next year, we're going to be in the 9th district. And, but this primary, we can vote for, obviously, you. Who else are you running against as a Republican?
Sure. There's Derek Merrin, which was the prior nominee that lost to Marcy Kaptur. There's 2 girls that flew in from D.C., Aaliyah Nadeem and Madison Sheehan, that are in the race. There's another gentleman, I don't even remember his name. Nobody really knows him, but he got his name on the petition. Us 4 are seen as the candidates. I'm seen as the front runner in the race. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm just giving you the landscape of what's going on in that race. So yeah, many people don't know that Henry County was added to the 9th Congressional District. It was redrawn by mandate. So when we redrew the district after the 2020 census, it wasn't bipartisan. So, I mean, on the redistricting commission, it didn't get Democrat and Republican support, so it was only a 4-year map. That means that map expired, and we had to vote in another one. This time, it is a bipartisan map. So this map will be on for the 26, 28, and 2030 elections. And after the 2030 census, it'll get redrawn again. So yeah, you guys were added to the district along with Paulding and Putnam counties. So it took the district from being an R+3 district that she was able to win last time to a R9, which is a really Republican-leaning district that's winnable. You got to be able to get into the inner city of Toledo and Lucas County and pick up votes there. I know I've done that in my previous elections. In my last election cycle, I say this kind of quietly, but it's truthful. In my House district, I outperformed almost every Republican on the ballot, including Bernie Moreno, President Trump, and the Republican nominee that year. We see that I'm able to pick up independent voters and even soft Democrat voters, given my legislative history and my background of growing up in the inner city, raising a family in the inner city. You know, it's just the facts of the layout of the land.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from anybody?
How are you navigating inner city life with our rural life out here, and how are you learning and preparing yourself to better represent our communities?
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up in the inner city. I live in Sylvania Township now, so I've lived in every corner of Toledo and in some of the suburban areas. I always wanted to live on a farm, but my wife won't let me. So the furthest she was willing to get down that train was living in a township with a septic tank, and that was a tough sell for my wife. But what I do, I love to learn, and before I was even in politics, I was out in Putnam County and Paulding County talking to individuals there for the last 6 years. What I do is I go into the communities and I talk to the subject matter experts to get educated. I talk to the elected officials. I go and I visit the farms. I've gone and seen CAFOs. I've gone and seen smaller family farms. And what we have done that I think is creative is we've formed an advisory council. So elected officials that have endorsed us across the district, every month they're invited to an advisory council meeting via Zoom, where they're able to tell me what's going on in their corners of the district when things pop up. I have a septic tank system, and I didn't know that the cost of septic tanks have exploded in Ohio. And that came from Paulding County when I met with them. I went and talked to Hancock County when we thought they may be in the district, Fulton County, Williams County, Henry County, talked to some of the officials and the engineers and found out that this is a real issue. And that was highlighted in one of our advisory council meetings. So I went to work. I went and met with the Ohio EPA, the Ohio Department of Health, and I can tell you some stories about those people. The general counsel for the Department of Health said, I don't get why they just can't get on a sewer line. And I was like, have you ever been to Paulding County? She's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, you're not going to be able to get a municipal sewer line running throughout that whole county. It's just not going to happen. But what we're working to do is try to reduce the cost. I've worked with some of my colleagues, Representative Pizzulli, on introducing legislation to try to bring down the cost of septics. What we figured out is that the Ohio EPA put in regulations that said, like, if your septic tank cracks and it can't be repaired, they are making you repair the whole system up to 2026 standards, which in many counties, like Paulding County that has heavy clay, you have to create this huge leach field, right, that drives up the cost like crazy. But yet the previous system was working. Why couldn't you just replace the tank with a very similar tank? So we have introduced legislation to grandfather in septic systems, that if your tank cracks, you should be able to put back in a similar situated tank. You shouldn't have to develop that entire leach field to bring it up to 2026 standards. We're also currently working on a system, a loan system, similar to what is called a TIF, but for single-family residential units, essentially where the developer can get some funding up front to help pay for the septic tank installation so we can get new construction in our counties. And as a result, the increase in property taxes from the property being upgraded would essentially be payment in lieu of those taxes will go back to the developer in the form of a TIF to drive down the cost of the new construction, to make it where it's affordable to develop in our communities. I think that's pretty reasonable. Since it's already undeveloped land, we're not going to get the increase in property taxes unless we develop it. That's something that we're drafting. And it was hard to explain to the guy on LSC who drafted that bill why it was necessary. But finally, I just had to tell him, stop worrying about the reason for the policy and just write it, you know? So that's just an example of how we come into the district, listen to the elected officials, their supporters. They introduce us to some interested parties, and we learn about the issues and we try to address them. And mind you, that's not a huge issue in my district. Although I have, you know, Sylvania Township and Richfield Township, you know, I represent Sylvania, Northwood, Genoa, portions of Perrysburg Township, Monclova, White House. Like, they aren't dealing with that type of issue compared to Paulding and Putnam and Fulton and Defiance and Williams. So it literally has been an opportunity to learn more about the district. And I think Marcy Kapler has really ignored the rural parts of her district because her voter base was in Toledo. And I think the 9th Congressional District is the best representation of not only Ohio, but the country. Because we have our rural farm communities. We have our urban centers. We also have our vacation homes on the Great Lake. It's a very good cross-section of what it means to be an American, that you have to be able to represent all of those interested groups at the same time and understand the issues. And it's been a great experience so far.
Anything else?
Well, thank you, guys.
Mr. Williams, thank you so much.
Thank
Really
you.
appreciate you being here, and best of luck. All right, we'll move to item E, the approval of minutes. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the minutes shall stand approved from the March 2nd, 2026 regular council meeting and March 9th, 2026 special council meeting. All right, I'm hearing none. Those will stand approved. Item F is citizen communication. If anyone is in attendance tonight that would like to address council on any matters outside of the agenda items, now would be the time to do so. I met with Sam and Jessica beforehand, so who's ever rock, paper, scissors, who wants to go first?
I'm not shy.
Sam, thanks again for coming. If you would, just state your name and address for the record.
Absolutely.
Then you have about 5 minutes.
Samuel Walker. I live at 408 East Washington here in Napoleon. I'd like to propose to the city on considering updating the playground equipment and amenities at Riverdowns Park, or commonly known as Goosetown. Riverdowns is a well-used neighborhood park with a popular softball field and a recently added dog park, but much of the current playground equipment is aging and no longer meets modern safety or accessibility standards. Families often visit, yet younger children don't have many safe or engaging play options and there's limited access for children of all abilities. I think refreshing the playground would improve safety by replacing worn or outdated equipment, decrease community use and encourage outdoor activity among children and families, enhance accessibility, making the park inclusive for residents with disabilities, strengthen neighborhood pride and property values by investing in a shared community space. I'd recommend that the council considering allocating funds, exploring grants, or partnering with local organizations or service clubs to help offset costs. Even small improvements like adding new surfacing, swings, or updated play structures could make a huge difference. Thank you for your time and your city continued efforts to improve our city's community.
Sam, thank you so much. Real quick on that topic, luckily we do have the chair of our Parks and Recs committee here tonight. I know the city manager actually sent out an update either last week or the week before that there is a committee being developed specifically for playground updates. I don't know if River Downs is one of those playgrounds we're looking at, but certainly a topic that we could add to that discussion, I think. Laura, you have anything else to add there?
Not aware of a specific committee unless that was something that came out of
I think
the board.
I misspoke. Not necessarily a committee. Tony's reaching out to
Yes.
members of the community,
Right.
searching
Yes,
for some
yes.
ideas and things
Yes,
like that. So,
yes, yes. It was brought to my attention when I started last spring that there could be some more repair and updating to all of our parks. Some of them are in more need of others, so we can add that to the list. I think the volunteers that Tony was speaking of were for Kids Kingdom specifically, but certainly we see there is need around the city at all of the parks. Good idea.
Mr. Reed.
Thanks, Sam.
If I could address that concern just for a little bit. We are seeing, in the state legislature, we are seeing an increased number of requests by municipalities and smaller communities for upgrades to parks. I've got several of them that are currently on my list of requests within my district. If you guys get it in quick enough, you may be able to get some funding this capital improvement budget. Like, the deadline was last Thursday, but my office is still accepting requests for the next couple of days. So if you want to reach out directly to my staff, you speak with Spencer in my office, and he could refer you to the form you fill out, at least to get that in time. So I've got several parks that are getting upgraded to be ADA compliant, and that's money that's literally left on the table. Every 2 years, we do a capital improvement budget, and that's something that we're starting to see more and more regularly from local communities. So if you haven't already requested money, it's not too late just yet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Sam, you chose a great night to be here, so.
Great time in there.
Thank you, Josh. I appreciate that. All right. Anything else? Jessica, welcome. Jessica, again, if you would, just state your name and address for the record, and you have about 5 minutes.
My name is Jessica Green, and I live at 521 West Main Street. And then what else? Was that it?
You have about 5 minutes.
Okay,
The floor is
sounds good.
yours.
All right, so I know I kind of missed the last meeting, or I did miss the last meeting. It was discussing some of the chickens. But I did want to come tonight just to discuss maybe I'm a better person to talk back and forth with than just talk to people. So I do have some notes here, but of course I am totally open to having an actual conversation than me just standing here and talking. But I think chickens are obviously a big question and curiosity for the whole community. I know that there are concerns out there, but however, I will say that as city council members, I think you should always shouldn't believe what you hear, and that you should do your own research. In other words, don't just be a follower and think for yourself. So for example, bird flu, I know there's a lot of things that could be said about that. And those always happen. If you look at the news or articles or anything, you're not gonna see your neighbor have bird flu. You're not gonna have those things that are showing up in the news. You're gonna see that more in large conventional things where they have a lot of birds. They're producing eggs at a very massive production, and same thing with the meat. You're not gonna have your neighbor have bird flu. But just to have some more information about that, the way that it is contracted is to be direct. So it's by saliva, mucus, or feces. So that means that even if my neighbor has bird flu, my chickens won't get it unless my chickens are living with her chickens or their chickens. The only way that it can be an indirect contact is through city water for our purposes, but it would be through water, feed, or equipment, and so that would have to be contaminated by another bird that had bird flu, and then they came into my flock. I grew up and constantly had roughly 30 chickens throughout my whole life, so it wasn't anything that we ever had. My grandpa also had chickens from the time that he was basically a baby until the time that he passed, and we always had a huge number of chickens. Not once did we ever have bird flu. Of course, living in the country is probably a little bit different than living in the city, but you also have to have those chickens be contaminated. And then I know that obviously there are communities within Napoleon that don't want chickens. So for example, I have known that Twin Oaks is one of those communities that doesn't want chickens. My personal opinion is that Twin Oaks is more of an HOA kind of setting. They are much nicer houses, so to speak. And so with that being said, I think that just having an open mind, because those people probably aren't going to have chickens. Your neighbors in Twin Oaks aren't going to have them. And so I think if we're thinking about that community specifically, I just looked up in 2020 our census, and we had roughly 8,900 citizens in Napoleon. I'm sure Twin Oaks isn't even 10% of that. And so just being open-minded to other people that are in the community and not just your own social circle. And as some of you know, the next part of my little thing is our economy. We all know that it's not going in a great direction. Not to bring politics in or anything, but our military is getting involved in things that maybe some people don't want to be involved in, and et cetera, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But we saw 2020, and we saw what it did to the grocery stores, and I don't know if you went to the stores the last time that we had a snowstorm, but it was not great. I'm not saying that chickens are going to fix all the problems, because they're not, but I'm saying that if we have the opportunity to have chickens, we have the opportunity to feed our families. I'm not saying specifically meat birds, but just eggs. Like, eggs are high in protein, and you can feed your family off a very small amount. And I think that with where we're headed, there's a lot of things that can go into it, but yeah. A lot of people will even say, well, if you want to have chickens or a farm or et cetera, move out to the country. I don't know about you, but I am a stay-at-home mom, and I cannot afford a $2,000 mortgage. We bought our house in 2019, and the mortgage was a lot better then, obviously. And moving out to the country, we've looked at it, and it's just impossible. There's no way with all the rates. And so living in town is our only option right now. But believe me, I would love to have a farm just like Josh back here too. But my husband thinks otherwise too, so I get it. But of course, there needs to be guidelines, right? So we can't have my neighbor have 20 chickens and I have 5. Like, that would be a little crazy. So just making sure that we have some kind of guideline too. I think 6 would be the absolute max that we could possibly have. And then having some kind of easement. So looking at my backyard today, I was just looking out, and I thought maybe a 3-foot easement would be good, because where I live on West Main, there's properties that are much longer, and then there's other one or wider, and then others are longer. And so if you have a 3-foot easement, you could easily have chickens, and I mean, it would end up in the middle of your yard, but you could definitely have them. Overall, I once again encourage you all to do your own research, climb out of your own social circles, and listen to people in the community. Those who are not in favor of chickens, what are their reasons? Are their reasons a feeling, a myth, or a fact? If you're going to vote on whether we as a city have to have or get to have chickens or not, you must be educated on the topic, so I encourage you all to be educated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to share a little bit about where we are in the discussion of residential poultry. So this topic was in committee for 1 or 2 months. The committee obviously did a bunch of research and solicited thoughts and opinions from residents and internal staff and other communities. At this point, at that last municipal properties meeting last Monday, the vote was split 2-2, which basically resulted in no recommendation to change the current ordinance. The issues that were really concerned against it, neighborhood compatibility, sanitation concerns, potential nuisance complaints, and the enforcement responsibilities were huge determining factors for it. So at this point, the discussion has kind of ceased. There's no recommendation to make a change to the current ordinance, but we so greatly appreciate the feedback that we got from residents. I would say I've been on council for 7 years now, and we had more feedback about chickens and residential homes than I've had on any topic during my duration on council. So we do appreciate it, and we acknowledge that it's a subject that people are passionate about. And frankly, if everyone that came to those meetings were the only people that were going to be allowed chickens, I would have 0 issues with it. Unfortunately, you open up a can of worms that you may not have the same results consistently across the board. So thank you for your thoughts tonight, and we really appreciate it.
Since it was a split vote, and there's so many positives and some people perceive negatives, is it possible to send this for a ballot issue?
I think at this point, it would go back to a committee topic, and I don't foresee a change happening with it being a change of ordinance. I don't know.
I agree.
Additional thoughts there?
I don't know how it would get to the ballot without a petition, I would say,
Okay.
unless council desires it, but I don't believe that that was what came out of the committee.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I don't know if that's loud, but I just know that just based off of reading a lot of posts and such on Nosy Neighbors, there's a lot of people that are in favor of it, and people are starting to get upset that it's not moving forward on a clear, we're not doing it, we are doing it, and we're not getting answers as to why. And so I don't know if it would be helpful to have someone post on there or just post in general, but there are a lot of people that are in favor for it, and we're not getting answers as to why. And so I think a ballot would be a great opportunity to find out what the community really wants, because obviously not half the community can show up here. But that's kind of my 2 cents on it. I think that more thought needs to be put into it than just tabling it.
Sure. We could discuss maybe putting together a memo or something to release. I know at least the Northwest Signal reported on our municipal properties meeting, but if there's something internal that we could put out.
Sure. And maybe the history of this discussion, because this isn't the first time it's been discussed. It has been all the way to the zoning commission and where it was denied. I don't remember what year that was, but we can share all of that so people see. And that would be probably another committee that would go to. Zoning, we would have to change some code. It's not as simple as just
No,
saying,
it's not.
yes, we'll have chickens.
It's not a simple thing.
Thanks again, Jessica.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
I appreciate it.
All right, so we'll move on to item G, reports from council committees. There were a few this last couple of weeks. So G1, the Personnel Committee met on March 6th, 2026 at 5:20 p.m. And Mr. Mayor.
Yes, we entered into executive session to review candidates for the law director, and with no action taken.
Thank you, sir. G2, the Electric Committee met on March 9th, 2026 at 5:30 and recommended to council to approve the power supply cost adjustment factor for March 2026, SPSCA 3-month average factor 0.02118 and JV2 0.0396999. We will discuss that further in good of the city. Item G3, the Water Sewer Refuse Recycling and Litter Committee held a special joint meeting with the Board of Public Affairs and the Water Rate Review Commission on March 9th at 6 p.m. And Dr. Dave.
Recommend that the council keep water rate flat for a year. Recommend council hold sewer rates for a year and reevaluate.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. I'm going to have a mulligan on my topic. G2, the Electric Committee also discussed, I lost it. Recommend to council to participate in the Bright Mountain Solar Project. We will also discuss that further in good of the city. Sorry about that. Item G4, the Water Sewer Refuse Recycling and Litter Committee also met on March 9th at 7 p.m. And Dr. Dave, I'll give that one to you as well.
Committee took no action on an appeal by Patricia Hartman.
Thank you, sir. G5, the Municipal Properties Building Land Use and ED Committee met on March 9th at 7:30. And Meredith.
We discussed backyard chickens, and we tabled the discussion of the Community Improvement Corporation, CIC contribution guidelines.
Thank you. And finally, G6, the Parks and Recreation Committee met earlier tonight at 6 p.m. And Brittany.
We discussed the Napoleon Baseball Commission subsidy.
Thank you. All right, that will bring us to item I. Introduction of new ordinances and resolutions. I1 is resolution number 004-26, a resolution authorizing contracts for the Township of Napoleon, Harrison, Freedom, and the Village of Florida, and Henry County South Joint Ambulance District for fire service and/or emergency medical service commencing April 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. And we have Chief Bowen here tonight to talk a little bit about the result of the Safety and Human Resources Committee meeting where he discussed contracts with townships.
These are just our annual contracts that we sign with these entities for providing services for them. They go off of 2025's actual costs, so those numbers have been figured by finance, and those are in your packet for tonight. I did meet with all the townships during Safety and Human Resources. There's no issues with that. I was requested to go to Harrison Township just because they had some members absent that night. Met with them. There's no issues. I would ask for suspension on this because it does come due April 1st. So we will not have time for the 3 reads for our end of it, so we will need suspension for that.
Thanks, Chief. All right, any questions or comments? Or anything from the committee to add?
Motion for suspension.
Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll on suspension.
Jordan,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
All right, anything else before voting on the resolution? Hearing none, and please call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
All right, so that will pass under suspension. Thank you, Chief. Item I2, resolution number 005-26, a resolution authorizing a contribution to the man unit in and for the year 2026 from the ONE Ohio, Recovery Foundation Fund and declaring an emergency. Do we have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. This is the contribution that was discussed when Chief Legg invited the man unit to come and discuss the programs that Nicole Ferguson does for the man unit, which we have found to be a suitable program for these monies, which have been in fund for a number of years now, waiting for the right project to use them for. We currently have $33,000 in that fund that's received as part of the opioid settlement. And we would like to use the $30,000 with $3,000 remaining for any possible future uses.
Thank you, Lori. Anything to add? Questions?
I was just wondering if State Rep Williams has any money for that for us. Thought I'd ask while you're here.
Any other discussion or questions? All right, Ann, please call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
All right, that will move on to second read, and so will we. Second reading of ordinances and resolutions, there are none this evening. Item K is third reading of ordinances and resolutions, there are also none. Item L is good of the city. L1, discussion or action, approval of the power supply cost adjustment factor for March 2026 as PSCA 3-month average factor 0.02118 and JV2 0.039699. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. This is our monthly approval of the 3-month rolling average for power supply costs. You'll see, as we noted last month, that this is slightly higher than we have seen due to the severe winter weather. Kevin, do you have anything?
Unless you got questions.
That's good. Thank you, sir. Any questions from council? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
And please call the roll.
Jordan.
Yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
All right, so that has been approved. Item L2, discussion or action to remain in the Maumee Valley East CHIP Consortium in order to submit an application to the Ohio Department Services Agency for CHIP funds for program year 2026. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. This is a Maumee Valley program run through the county where citizens of low income can look for funding to help make home improvements. My understanding is through the city, this program runs through our building and zoning, so people can be referred to that program, which is, like I said, administered through the Maumee Valley Planning Company, our organization.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions from council? All right, we are looking for a motion to direct the law director to draft legislation on this topic. If there is a motion to do so, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right. Item L3, discussion or action, recommend council to participate in the Bright Mountain Solar Project. This is a big one. Lori, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Council President. This was discussed in our electric committee meeting. AMP is who provides our power supply and is regularly looking for more opportunities for generation. This is a solar project that they have the opportunity to participate in Kentucky. I'll try to do the board while we're talking, but it is Kevin and I's recommendation that Napoleon do participate in this project. It would be a source of green energy for the city. We have lost the windmills in Bowling Green. Those have been decommissioned now, so this would be another, I guess, addition of some green energy to add to our portfolio. Kevin, do you recall exactly percent?
It would be 3 megawatts.
3 megawatts. We think that this would be helpful in peak shaving, especially during the summertime. Those solar panels will be hard at work in Kentucky in the summer, so it's a good opportunity for us.
Thank you, Lori.
Mhm.
My only concern during the committee meeting was, this is a 25-year agreement, essentially, and obviously, we need some electric supply stability. I think this offers a good solution, especially with the uncertainty with Prairie State. It's another way to kind of diversify our portfolio. So I'm certainly in favor of it. That 25 years was a little scary, but I think now that I understand it better, we're in a good place to move forward. But would love to hear questions or thoughts from council, if there are any.
So to that point, are we locked in for the 25 years?
Yeah, one of the questions I had during the committee was, is there an out option in the contract?
I'm not sure if there's an out option on this. What we're doing is what's called a power purchase agreement. And I don't want to interrupt, Lori, take your thunder here, so go ahead and stop me. So this is an agreement that we would be a part of it and buy the power from them, 3 megawatt. If you would go to, Lori, to keep going down, this is more of a, and keep going down to the, you're going to see a chart, not that one, it's one more page right there. And I know it's hard to read, but we could share this with you. I mean, this is going to basically provide approximately 4% of our annual energy needs. And what this will fall in line is that we have our base power load, which is like Prairie State and the hydro. And then the next is intermediate loads. And then this would be part of that peak load that we would have, and more so in the summertime with that. So, you know, it's not a lot, but it's 4% possibly of our annual energy needs. And it certainly would fill the gap for what we need. As for a specific out, that's certainly a question that we could get answered for you before we make the final agreement.
We did participate in a webinar last Thursday.
Mhm.
Didn't hear that specific information, but.
But but the difference between ownership and a power purchase agreement is in 25 years is a long time. Most likely, when this expires, I'm not going to be here, as well as most of us in this room. You know, let's be honest with that. Tom?
Man.
Well, Ken's not here anymore. But in the event, once that agreement's done, we're not tied to like replacing the solar panels or upgrading it at that point. So this is why we do power purchase agreements, so we do not have the repairs and upkeeps and costs moving forward with that. We would lock in at a certain rate. Right, Laura? Any?
No, that's right. When they're done producing, we're done paying for that agreement. So we wouldn't be owners, so we wouldn't be in charge of decommissioning and all of that.
So we lock in at a certain rate for the full 25 years, so we know what we're going to be paying?
It's at 5 years.
Okay.
5-year, 45 per megawatt hour. After that, it jumps up to 60, I believe.
And how is,
65.
do we know how this is gonna produce as it is now? Like, are we gonna be able to get the power that they're saying we're gonna get from that? I guess back to the out part. If we're not getting what we're signing up for.
If it doesn't produce at the.
Well, if it doesn't produce power, then we don't pay anything for the power.
Okay.
That's where we don't have any upkeep or
So we're
cost
lost
on it.
at that point.
So if it's like the solar panels that we have here in Napoleon, that they may only produce in a 30-day period at 80% or 60%, depending on our weather. If it doesn't produce power, we don't buy that power.
Okay.
So we're not on the hook to buy a minimum amount per month or year with that. So that's our safety on that aspect. If I just, one other thing, if you keep scrolling down, Lori, the next, it's a line chart right there. The hedging on this, and this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, is you sell what's called RECs. In Ohio, the RECs are like $3.50. The RECs in Virginia are around $24. And when then you sell those RECs, we all gain back to that as a power purchase agreement member, and even lowers our cost even more with that. And this is not the only entity that we are associated with that we gain RECs back. So that's a common thing in the energy, in the AMP community, is purchasing RECs or selling them.
Thank you.
So the 4% that we're allocated, is that based upon a ratio of the amount of electricity we're using versus the other municipalities within AMP? Do we know? Is that how it's, is that assumption, then is there an assumption that X number of municipalities will be also engaging in it?
Yes, there is a list that's out there. If you keep going down the other way, Lori, into the resolution, it goes by the entities and it'll list the recommended up to megawatts. You're going the other way, please.
There aren't any, there's no more. There's no more down.
Because it's on the resolution.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going. And keep going. It's on page 85 of 110.
Yeah, there you go, keep going.
That was on the wrong one.
Yep, yeah, keep rolling.
You're getting there. One
And-
more.
Right there. So a place like Cleveland, who's recommended to join this, they're at up to 20 megawatts. Cuyahoga Falls is at 20, and then it lists down through here. So AMP's recommendation for us is 3 megawatts. That's their recommendation. Jens, please stop me. I don't want to ruin, take your thunder on any of this, but we don't want more megawatts because we could possibly become what they call long on power, meaning we are purchasing more than we're using. Because right now, we are short on power of about, I'll say, on average, 95% of our power, meaning we buy 5% from the market on average. So by adding this, we don't want to add more too much, and that's part of what we pay AMP to do, to look at our portfolio to make sure that we still fall within appropriate range of our power sources.
Okay.
So they wouldn't recommend it, for example, 20 megawatts because we wouldn't need that. And so if we're purchasing 20 megawatts, we're going to end up selling that ourselves out on the market, and you don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. But that is the list that if they all approve.
maybe this is in the packet and I'm just really bad at finding things, so help me out if not. But what are some of the prices that we're paying per megawatt from other sources? I see 65, but that doesn't give me much of a bearing on,
Well, you got your base power, which is like your cheapest, and I'm not prepared to give you like $10 or $15 or items like
Right,
that.
right.
So your coal plants, your hydro plants are a little bit, your natural gas plants are cheaper. Your hydro plants are a little bit more. The unfortunate thing is a lot of your quote-unquote green powers is some of your most expensive
Right.
with that. So,
and that's what I'm trying to get a bearing on is
but most of your green
where is
power,
65 in comparison to other sources?
if I could say in some cases more than double. But again, that's where you look at this as more peak shaving, so you wouldn't use it all the time, or very little. Did I answer your question good enough? I can get more for you.
If you can give me some more information,
Okay.
that'd be great.
Certainly.
If you can explain on the peak shaving, do you understand what he's talking about? On peak, that reduces the cost for the whole month?
Yep.
Okay.
What are the next steps? So tonight, it's just the recommendation to council. If we approve this, is discussion over at that point, or would this be back for 3 reads?
Yeah, we would then draft the legislation for the resolution.
Okay.
Am I right, Kevin?
I believe what we would need to ask tonight is yes, to have the law director to draft the legislation, which
To
they give
agree
you
to
stamped love. And then there's a deadline that's out there that we may have to ask for a suspension, but I don't know if we need to ask for a first or second read suspension with that. But I think right now it's a matter of if you guys want to move forward and enact the law director to bring us to first read next time.
And I would be in favor of moving forward, but I'd like to get just more background information on cost structure and just buttoning up a little bit more of that if we could.
Yeah, and I know we obviously have a great relationship with AMP. I don't know if it'd be possible to have someone from AMP come and maybe speak to this at either first or second read, but I definitely think their insight would be super valuable.
For sure.
Are there any
I'm
other-
really nosy, can I ask a question?
Sure.
I didn't hear you guys talk about it, but you guys may have talked about it previously, maybe in a different committee too. But whose farm are we taking, and once that 25 years is up, does that solar panel just sit there and rot? Because does that farm into the farming area back, or what happens to it? So that would just be a main concern for me.
Sure. I know this project is in Kentucky.
Right.
Um,
And it's not owned by us, so this
Right.
is developer, so all of their agreements would be in whatever county they are in Kentucky, so there are usually, I would say these agreements are 40 years, so 25 sounded kind of short. And then there are, clauses for decommissioning to make sure escrow stays in place. All of that would be happening, like Kevin said, we're kind of very superficial on this. We're just purchasing our power from here as one of the many generation projects that we participate in. So I understand what she's saying, and that has been an issue in Henry County for the last probably 2 years. And that has been restricted, so at least in Henry County, we don't have to worry about that.
Was there a picture of the actual site on the front at the beginning? Where it showed it was kind of on a mountainside? No, I guess it, I don't know.
This is
I don't know if that was it or not.
And this is where it's located.
Great question, though, Jessica. It's something we could certainly follow up on. Any other questions or comments from council?
Just if we participate, but some of the other municipalities do not, they choose to, I think when I saw 20%, what does that mean to us?
Right, and I think that's why there is a deadline. So AMP would need to have
Okay.
all of the participants in place
Okay,
to
so-
go forward with the purchase agreement.
Okay.
then I would imagine it would go away if they don't have enough participation.
Well, keep in mind that this is also not an AMP project.
No.
It's a power purchase agreement that the ownership is not AMP. So they would go to First Energy and ask them if they would want to purchase. So there's other energy entities out there that would also be a part of this. And that's, so if we were allocated so much that we could sell to, AMP was allocated so much to send to their members, if they couldn't sell that much, my guess would be then it would be open to other entities outside of that.
Anything else? All right, tonight we're just looking for a motion to direct the law director to draft legislation. We can continue the discussion in the future
And
reads.
we'll have someone from AMP to come in and tell you a little bit better.
Do we have a motion?
A motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
That'll go to first read next meeting, and we will go to item L4, discussion or action. Recommend council to keep the water rate flat for a year. Laura, you want that one?
Not really. This is the result of our months-long discussions in the Water and Sewer Committee, along with BOPA and Water Rate Review Commission. And the recommendation that came out of that was to leave rates where they are for one additional year and then reevaluate next year, based on some information that's come to light and some maybe things that we can look at to have a little better understanding as we go forward. I believe Kevin will back me in saying that our reserves are healthy enough at this point that there's no cause for concern to wait 1 year on this.
I agree. I think for at least one more year, the water and sewer carryover balances will cover us for an additional year of 0% increase. However, this does stem the discussion that will be moving or be discussed later on in our Finance and Budget Committee meetings about, do we want to have a minimum of carryover balances before we would say, look at or enact rates. But for the 1 year, we'll be okay.
Anytime we don't have to increase rates is a good thing, so. I was happy with the decision from the commission and the BOPA, so. Any other questions or comments?
I just appreciated Kevin's, I know there was a lot of emails going back and forth there, but Kevin provided a lot of information, and that committee really dug in on a lot of where we were sitting financially, where rates have been historically, and just a lot of work from citizens who were on that committee, so I appreciate all their insights as well, and Kevin providing that information, so.
All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan,
Yes.
Brittany,
Yes.
Ross,
Yes.
Dr. Dave,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
That has been approved. Item L5, discussion or action, recommend council to hold sewer rates for a year. Lori?
Yes, this is the same story, minus the Water Rate Review Commission. The BOPA and Water and Sewer Committee had similar conversations about our sewer future and believe that it's also healthy enough to sustain another year of flat rate and then reevaluate next year.
Any questions or comments from council? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan.
Yes.
Brittany.
Yes.
Ross.
Yes.
Dr. Dave.
Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Meredith.
Yes.
All right. L6, discussion or action, first quarter budget adjustments. Kevin, would you like that one?
Yes, what we're asking for is council to ask the law director to enact a legislation following next Monday's Finance and Budget Committee meeting. We typically do this every quarter, so we try to get ahead of it and allow the law director to have those prepared, so then the legislation will come to the first council in April.
Thank you, Kevin. Is there a motion to direct the law director to draft the legislation?
Motion?
Second.
Thank you. Ann, please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right. L7, discussion or action, wastewater treatment plant assistant superintendent position and pay scale layout. Lori?
Okay. Thank you, Council President. This was a position addition that was brought to Safety and Human Resources last month to discuss and receive approval. This was a matter first discussed when the assistant water treatment plant position was created. The plan was to mirror the structure of the department in the wastewater after that one was done. But I think through the process of changing a couple of city managers, it kind of kept getting pushed to the back burner. So this is just an opportunity to bring it to the forefront. So we had a job description that was written specifically for the assistant position, and a pay scale was actually approved in the previous budget. So we do have Superintendent Jay Oakley here if you have any questions about it, but I think it's the right thing to do.
Jay, I'll give you the floor. Anything to add?
I think she summed it up pretty well. A couple of years ago, they created a new position at the water plant, and we always kind of intended to do the same thing at the wastewater plant. It's finally happening.
Jay. Questions from the council? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Second?
Thank you. Ann, please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right, that has been approved. Thanks, Jay. Item L8, discussion or action to accept a $125 donation for the fire department. Lori?
Thank you, Council President. This just came to my attention, but maybe Chief Bone has to talk. I believe this is a family donation in
This is
gratitude.
in memory of, so typically when someone passes away and they have in lieu of flowers, you can make donations to XYZ organization. A lot of times our fire department gets named in that, and this was just a pool of checks that came in that person's honor.
It looks like, based off the note, we helped the transport of this person.
And
so-
that's typically what happens is, we usually run into these folks quite a few times in their final years of life, and then they always want to give back, so.
Any other questions or comments? Do we have a motion to accept the donation?
Motion?
Second. Third.
And please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Sorry.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right, that has been accepted, and thank you to these families, and we're sorry for your loss, but we do appreciate that donation to the fire department. That is it for agenda items. We will move around the table. Kevin, I'll start with you this evening.
Okay, I got just two items. One, it's just a question that came about. Doing a little research, the solar field is approximately 805 acres comprised of multiple tracts of reclaimed mine land. So it was not taken on any farm land. So it's
Thanks.
land that was used otherwise and no longer being used for that. The other thing I just have is that at the end of February, we got news for the city of Napoleon that were awarded from the Government Financial Officers Association of the United States and Canada, which is called the GFOA, Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, to the city of Napoleon for its annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. So we received the state award, and then it coincided, and after the GFOA was able to review what they call our CAFR we received the Certificate of Achievement of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award. So kudos to my staff for all their hard work. That's all I have.
Thank you too. We appreciate all the work that you do. Jordan,
Nothing for me this evening.
Brittany,
Nothing for me.
Joe.
Just want to thank all of our departments that responded to multiple calls due to the high winds this weekend. I'm sure police, fire, operations, and maybe electric was called a couple times, I think I heard. And I heard some of those calls, and I know all weekend we had a on-call person that was getting called quite a bit. But on the other side, I have some friends that live in the Toledo area that said their power went out on Friday, and as of last night, they still didn't have power. And it just goes to show what our electric department does all year, trimming trees, replacing poles, doing all those things. We may have had some outages, but not significant whatsoever. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dr. Dave.
Nothing for me.
Tom.
Finance and budget will be at 5:30 on the 23rd. That's it.
Sir, Meredith.
I don't really have anything new, but thank you to you guys who come and share your questions, concerns, and ideas with us. I think it's really important, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to be on council, because this is what makes the world, the city go around, so thank you.
Awesome. Tony.
Nothing to add, thank you.
Lori.
Just a reminder to all of our elected officials that your financial disclosures with the Ethics Commission is coming up. That is due May 5th. There's a $35 charge if you turn that in, and we'll take care of that for you. But you gotta get that done. The AMP board meeting is this week, so I will be out Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And just a quick update to the HR director position. That has closed, and we're in the process of screening applications right now, so. That would be all I have.
I got it.
Got it.
All right, thank you, Lori. Nothing else to add from me. I'll echo what Meredith said. We really do appreciate the feedback, and some of us may be on Nosy Neighbors too, and we see the feedback that's posted there, and it does not go unnoticed. So just take that for what it's worth. But we also have a request to go into executive session to consider the purchase of property. If we could have a motion to do so, please.
Motion. Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right. We'll bring everybody back. Don't feel like you have to stay, guys. If you want to cut out, you're welcome to.
You're welcome.
All right. Can we have a motion to come out of executive session to consider the purchase of property, please?
Motion.
Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
There's no action taken there. Item N, approve payment of bills and financial reports. In the absence of any objections or corrections, the payment of bills and financial reports shall stand approved. Hearing none, they will stand approved. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion. Second.
Thank you. And please call the roll.
Jordan?
Yes.
Brittany?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Dr. Dave?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Meredith?
Yes.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.